So before we got on camera here, I was just telling Chubb that this is a pretty typical matchup in Lorcana. Amber Steel into Ruby Amethyst. At the AA&N set champs, I played, I think, 3 or 4 of this matchup. I was on the Amber Steel side, so I know this one well.
I mean, and these decks have been, staples since Rise of the Floodborn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was really where these two decks came, I think, to be themselves. The Steel Song package really came through with all the good songs in that set. And then you had some of the key Amethyst package with the bounce.
Yep.
So, yeah, the Merlin and Madam Mim, which are all probably not returning when we get to set 9. So we shall see.
Most likely.
Well, Marquise, yeah, we're glad you had a blast because it was a lot of fun. So we look forward to the next one, which isn't going to be too far away. I'm good with the guacamole. Thank you, though. No guac on stream. Okay, so Ivan only gets rid of 1 card, so hopefully he didn't get the same card. The number of times that has happened when I've mulliganed 1
is higher than statistically it should be.
Yep. And knowing that Matt's playing the more aggro version of the, I can't even call it Steel Song, I'll just call it Amber Steel Aggro. You're not looking for that kind of singer setup like you are in Steel Song. You want more of those low to the ground, probably your Rhino shift line, having something, I see that Cindy, yeah, you still want that as your turn 1. But yeah, Ivan's gonna get to go first here, so it's really important, as we talked about earlier, Matt, if he wants to see this through in the best of 3, that he really wants to get the win right here.
It looks like he has a Cindy. Gonna ink 1 and play 1.
Ooh, the fancy one. All right, so yep, we're in a quest for 1, classic move with the broom. You know Ivan's gonna be playing a character. What character he chooses? The Queen. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so this was not in Ivan's list when he was winning set champs last set.
Previously.
Yeah. And it's such a great turn 2 card in Ruby too.
Well, and it can tank a storm, and I think that's why it's out there right now.
And you really don't want to damage it because as soon as you do, that Queen's a 4/4? She get +3 or the 3/4?
I think it's a 3/4.
And Ivan's going to turn 3. So you could see the Brawl come out here to take out that Cindy. Ivan's just trying to figure out what he wants to ink right now. I wonder if Ivan's playing Teeth and Ambition in this list.
It's like he's inking a fox.
Oh, you okay?
Sorry. No.
What are you going to play? Oh, he did Brawl. He brawled away the Cindy.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that's to be expected. I'm looking here to pull up Ivan's list to see. What spice he might be running in this list.
I know there's a bunch of one-offs. I am not sure what those one-offs are, but I have been alerted to that fact.
He's got 1 Shadow Finder, 1 Goat. Ah, lady, quest for 2. And Matt should put a damage because he doesn't have a, and there it is. Okay, good. Yeah, so I was correct. Ivan is playing Teeth and Ambition, and I think it makes sense with that queen, because you want to get that damage on her. And yeah, you see that too. So put the 3 damage on. Pass. But Matt's looking at 4 lore here if he does turn to the side, so curious to see what he does here. Lady sings. Yep, okay. Take it out, draw a card.
Gets a Calhoun in response. He's got a Cindy, so he can take some damage, get some draw off the or the Rapunzel.
And we got a character. I didn't see what it was, but Ivan put it in his hand very quickly, so. Did you get the 2 lore for the Daisy?
I don't know.
Matt, I don't know if was he already at 2 from before?
No, shouldn't have been. I think he's.
He's at 4 now? Okay.
I don't remember now.
According to his device, yes.
Okay, so yeah, we just
He's
missed
at
that.
4, yep.
That lore from Daisy. Once again, I can't hear
Oh,
that.
I see it.
We do have sound, and it's turned up.
Maybe they're just quieter players.
Next time I might want to still mic the players over there so I can hear them directly.
It's the Mystic
Move
bell
the
to
damage,
move
yep.
the damage off of the crab.
Which is so smart because now the Rhino doesn't have resist.
Correct. However, I believe Matt does have another Rapunzel in hand.
Shh, Ivan doesn't know.
That's true. However, Matt did just ink a Rapunzel. So, as a player watching that, I would be very surprised if he did not have a second in hand.
Right. Unless you're looking at a full hand of uninkables, though. I know, like, in Steel Song, and I'm not sure, I could pull up Matt's list here, too, but, like, got a lot of uninkables.
Yep.
So, but hey, sing first, get another card in hand, make your opponent question. Okay, we'll take out, and nice. Now we'll be able to actually draw 3 cards instead, so. If we choose to use the wrap.
Well, it looks like he's got a Calhoun, a Lawrence. He does not appear to have another Rapunzel in hand.
Oh.
The Rhino was what he picked up off the storm.
Okay.
Now you can already see the card advantage on Ivan's side with these 2 decks going up against each other. You know, Matt's got 1 card in hand, Ivan's got 5 or 6.
And you know he's not done drawing either.
Correct.
He'll be able to Friends, Genie.
Rabbit. I don't know what else he's running.
I'm pulling up. Let's see. He's got Genie. No Merlin Rabbits though, which I do see that's kind of like the difference in the lists is you're playing. Which is it? The Genie
There's
is
the
the
Genie,
Rabbit.
yep.
My preference tends to be Rabbit in many cases to guarantee that second draw, but there's something to be said about that evasive quest for 2 that
Yep.
you know, you want to play it out instead.
I think a lot of it comes down to how much are you bouncing? Are you doing a lot of bounce? Okay, you're going to want that rabbit because you're going to draw exponentially more off of that.
Yeah, we kind of moved away from the snake.
Yep.
So we've lost some of that bounce package, and that makes sense why you would move towards the Genie then.
Ink of Friends for another queen.
And here's the thing, like, do you want to trade? No, you're gonna put the 1 damage on and take out the daisy. I didn't see what Matt drew there, so I don't know what that other card is now in his hand. Yeah, you want to really think through these play lines now.
I mean, yes, if he had attacked the rhino, he would have lost the bell, but you're risking that rhino getting his resist +2 back now off of heals.
But Matt will play Larry, trades with the Bell. He'll gain 2 lore, and he'll gain 2 more by questing with Rhino. So that's a good turn for Matt there. And pass on over to Ivan. So, and how much ink is Ivan at? Is that 5?
No, I believe he's at 6 already. It's
6.
either 5 or 6, but because I think he played the queen and genie last turn.
Okay, yeah. So that would be 6. What is that?
Is it Nessus? I can't tell from. It almost looks like a Hades.
Oh, that's the new Hades. Okay, so what one is that? That's the Ruthless Tyrant. So he lets you put damage on a character and then draw. I think that's what that Hades does. I'm pulling it up now to look. Oh, not Teamfight Tactics. Yes, Matt, take your time to think as I can pull up what the new Hades does. Gotta love it with Lorcana. New set comes out, don't know what all the new cards do. And then also players, yeah, thank you Marquise for confirming it was the Hades. But then this other problem is when players will, like Chubb over here, be these brewmasters and put cards that we never see in play. And I'm like, what does that card do?
So second Lawrence comes out.
Did he quest with that Lawrence then?
He had to have only the genie was exerted, so not having any evasive characters.
I think he has 10 written down.
And Ivan just quested that Hades. Yeah, no, Hades quests for 2. So yeah, and his ability is when you play this character and whenever he quests, you may deal 2 damage to another chosen character of yours to draw 2 cards. 3/6 too, so big butt on him. And Ivan's gonna quest for another 2, it looks like.
He's gonna brawl away
So
the
2 more
baby
for Ivan,
rhino.
and brawl away, yep. Oh, now they're Bell now too. It's a tough spot for Matt to be in. But he'll drop another Rhino. And quest for 2. So Matt goes to 12. Oh, Ivan challenged with Genie.
So is it not 5?
So is he only at 3 lore then, Marquise? Trying to turn up the volume a little bit more to try to hear them better. I think, Josh Adams talking more than the players, so. Oh, but Emboldened Warrior comes out and a Diablo. All right, yeah, you're going wide at this point. So it looks like 2 from Bell. So bring Ivan to 5 now officially, I think. Oh, and then would it be 7 then? Because he also quested with the Bell in Hades? Yeah. 11 lore on the board for Ivan at this point. Yeah, Matt's really just trying to think this through.
1 card in hand, I believe. You know, and you can see where the resources that Ivan had, you know, a couple rounds ago now have put him in the more dominant position, whereas Matt's top decking.
Just quest for 2, my love.
Didn't I just do that?
Shouldn't he be at 10? Or was it 9? We're really bad at this, folks. I apologize.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling on this one, I guess.
And that's another lore, so I think he is at 10. And then plays another bird. Yep, so Ivan's going to go sideways for 4 more.
Get rid of the Rhino.
Yeah, and Matt is scooping on to the next game. So Ivan's going to take game 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Matt solves the card discrepancy, you know, as far as hand control and card control. You know, you saw Ivan have, you know, pretty healthy 4, 5, 6 cards in hand most of the game. Matt got up to 10 lore, kind of stalled out at that point. He just didn't have the cards to be able to play anything. Ivan was able to build his board from there, remove the threats, and just kind of, you know, take it 1 turn at a time.
Oh, and that is the power of this color combo, right? Amethyst, you're going to get to draw a bunch of cards. So unless you're playing against another kind of draw-heavy deck, you're likely always going to be at the advantage there. And then with Ruby, you've got all those control lines, being able to just brawl away a lot of these little guys. And the new kind of like combo Ruby Amethyst cards that we're seeing that are able to either add damage or move damage. So it's just a brutal color combo to play into.
I almost feel like Matt's best line is he's got to win by turn 6. You know, if he isn't there at that point, you're just in a real tough spot. You know, Ruby kind of shines when you get to those higher ink totals. I see a Daisy, a Rhino.
Matt being so secretive with his mulligan, I like it. He kind of like pulls the card back, slides it on down there. Yeah, I'm really interested to see now how this match goes. We know Ivan's a great player, Matt also a great player, but Ruby Amethyst has just dominated the meta for so long. And is this a version of the deck with this Hades now that's able to let you draw more cards, put damage on things, play a bell, move that damage elsewhere? There's just this kind of like nice line of play set up for it thanks to set 8.
You know, and you're utilizing the cards that gain benefits by having damage on them, like the Queen of Hearts. You know, now she's a 3/4, and you're drawing 2 cards off of, you know, putting that damage on her.
Yeah, so here we go. Players are finishing the mulligan now. And let's see what Matt does for turn 1. Has the little Cindy, so we can expect that. Yep. And he's got the songs to deal damage too, so.
Inks the Rhino. Matt's expecting a broom, a Chernobog's followers here out of Ivan, something he can remove with a storm, get a card off the draw, and kind of build the board from there.
Well, and Ivan also has the Diablo, you know, which
Yep.
was right, I was going to say next, which puts you in a great spot because sure, storm away my Diablo and let me draw that card. And there it is, yep. So both players are going to get a draw off of that. And remember, Ivan's on the draw, so he is at a card advantage now.
I know I saw a Daisy in Matt's starting hand. I would really like to see him put that out in play here, turn 2, hopefully with another 1-drop. I can't tell if he has any other ones in his hand. It looks like a 1-drop Rhino.
I can't tell if that's or a lady, that first card
Yep,
there.
Yep.
And I do feel like that's what you need to do in this, as you said, like to get to turn 6 and that win, you got to be dropping cards.
Yep.
So,
Ink the Lady, double
2
Rhino.
rhinos.
Yep. Very nice.
and that's on turn 2, right? So
Yep.
turn 3, we're only going to get 1 rhino perhaps shifted, but with a second one out there means in theory you can have 2 rhinos, and that's a tough spot to be in.
Because this turn is almost guaranteed, yes, you have to set up, you're trying to, get more cards as Ruby Amethyst. There isn't anything in your arsenal that's going to remove anything really on turn 2.
All right, we got a storm. It's going to take out Chernobog. Nice there. And I believe Matt is only running Strength and Storm as his songs for removal. So that is one of the trade-offs in this more aggro version of the Amber Steel list. You're not going to have those Zeuses. You're not going to have the Grab Your Sword.
But you do have the benefit of, I can just rely on the Cinderella to be able to sing all of my songs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you don't need the Troubadour now, right?
Correct.
He can get taken out of the list.
You
And
know,
Matt's going to quest for 2, get on the board there.
that's where you kind of free up those deck slots for the Rhinos, for those other cards that can hopefully get you there. So you're going to see Ivan Quest most likely pop the broom. Problem is he can't play a fox because he'd have to pick up the broom, and I think he really wants the card here.
Oh, instead he's going to put damage.
So he's anticipating the shift. Now there's a damage on the Rhino already, forcing the shift onto the second one. So now he knows which one's going to get shifted at least. He's still most likely going to pop it for a card here, so it's not really damaging. It's a 1 lower trade-off.
Mike's out of here. Just missed out on top 8. Yeah, Ivan's really taking the time to think through what he wants to do here. And I'm sure running through his mind too is like, all right, I got the damage on there. I do want to play probably character, but he inks the Brawl, and that was my next thought too, is having that Brawl in hand, chooses instead not to draw, but that trade, take out your Singer, yeah, that's not a bad spot to be in.
So I am a little surprised you went for the Cindy and not the undamaged Rhino. I mean, if you're shifting the Rhino, you now still have the capability of singing any of those 3-drop songs.
With a better body.
Correct, with a much more better body. You know, versus taking out the Rhino, leaving the Cindy there. There comes Pluto, I believe.
And that's going to be a quest for 5? 4?
4.
Goes to 5.
To 5? Yeah.
Or was he at 2 before?
I thought so.
Yeah, then he's at 6, sorry. Matt had said on stream quest for 5.
Oh, gotcha.
He's trying to cheat, get that extra lore there. Yeah, joking about bringing the judge over now. Yeah, I heard Josh Adams' voice, so I don't think he's too far away from that table right now.
All right, so you're looking with a Fox, 1 damage. Unless you're picking it up with another bounce, you're most likely going to throw him into Pluto to get Pluto's strength knocked down off of that 5 when he's undamaged. Because being able to shift at least one of those Rhinos behind a healthy Pluto bodyguard is a dangerous spot for Ivan to be in.
Well, and I would just be afraid too, as Ivan right now. Yeah, you might put damage onto that Pluto, and it's 4 damage, which is enough to keep the Pluto from being able to be fully healed. But still, that means Matt's going to get to draw 3 cards if he has a Rapunzel in hand.
Yes.
So.
We already saw him ink 1 Brawl.
And we watch our gameplay just slow way down. But I don't blame the players. Again, you want to make sure you're thinking through the play lines of what's going to happen. And it's not just what happens within this turn and the next one, but it's that kind of chain of events that are going to occur. And Lorcana is one of those games where a mistake snowballs. Sometimes they're like irrecoverable. You've made the mistake, and now no matter what you do, unless your opponent messes up, they're just in a way better state than you are.
Now, I would assume on 3, if Ivan's inking a Brawl, I would expect another Brawl in hand. But the way that he is debating on this choice, I'm not sure that he does. I think that'd be a more straightforward move. And I think that's something that's overlooked a lot of time by players, is just kind of studying your opponent. How are they reacting to the card that they draw? How are they making decisions? Does he look anxious by tapping his fingers on the table?
And I know that's me. I don't have a good poker face whatsoever. And there it is. So we'll take out the Pluto. Only 1 damage on that Fox now, and then pass it back to Matt. And that looked like a Storm.
Matt still has the Lawrence undamaged.
And
Looks like
he'll use the
it's gonna
Lawrence
sink,
to sing
remove
it.
Yep.
Gives you that ink to be able to do something with now. Does he have the Rhino? Nope, but a Smee and a Doc. Okay. There you go. And that's another benefit of not playing the Steel Song version, is now you can throw these Docs in. And that's something that I think is, you know, as a Steel Song player, you run out of cards in your hand very quickly, because that's the whole goal, is to kind of empty and do things with. So being able to put Doc into this version of the deck, like Diggy Hole, means you can recover that hand.
Well, and that's what we saw from Matt in game 1, was he just ran out of cards. He didn't have a way to get any more. I think a Daisy he just picked up off the draw. Looks like a piglet.
Yep. And a daisy.
Well, he's following, what we talked about.
Yep.
Try to flood the board, try to win it fast.
Yeah, and he's going to quest for 7, going to 15. And now this puts Ivan in a spot. But how much ink is Ivan at right now?
5, maybe? That doesn't look like 6. You've got a bell on board, and that's it.
You quested for 7?
7, yep.
I already added 2 from the 2 rhinos, so is that another 5? Or did you include the rhino in there?
Are you sure that wasn't the turn before? There's the brawl. And that would
No, it was moving the damage off
Okay.
of the bell. The first bell challenge.
And then he moved the new. Oh, yeah,
And
and
he's
scoop.
gonna scoop.
He knows.
Yep.
Yeah. There it is. So Matt's gonna get game 2.
Now watching this top 8 so far, we've seen the power of going first, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is available for the game to be able to balance that out a little bit more in the future, to make it a little bit more equitable, so you don't feel like you're living on a dice roll?
Mm-hmm. And this has been talked about a lot in the game. I've heard suggestions like, does the second player start with a card in their inkwell? Do they get an extra card in addition to the draw? So not 1, but 2. So things like that. I don't know. I think it's really tough.
And that is something that Pokemon went to a few years ago, where they had to limit the types of cards that you were allowed to play on turn 1 if you were going first. You couldn't play a supporter anymore. So yes, you could put a character down, put an energy, but you already couldn't attack, and the supporters were just so strong that people were winning too fast.
Mm-hmm.
It was just too imbalanced.
Yeah, so I think you're going to have some kind of like hard rule added to the game
Agreed.
in order to adjust. And is that a good thing? I don't know. I think maybe what could help with this, because the game is so kind of on an island, right? You can't interact with your opponent. I still believe that there's a way to add interaction to this game that doesn't make it overcomplicated like Magic in the Stack, but still allows you to have that answer. And I've shared this before, like those who have played the other Ravensburger game, Villainous, they have a card called a condition card, and in that game, when it's your opponent's turn and a condition happens, you must play that condition card when it occurs if you want to. You can't go, oh, wait a second, I had a condition, and go back. So I could see some kind of element like that. And knowing how Lorcana is already kind of depowered a lot of these things, it wouldn't be like a super powerful card that would really disrupt things, but it would be something maybe enough to stall to get you another turn.
Yep. Or to build your resources. Something, hey, your opponent quests for more than 5, you can draw a card.
You draw, yeah, exactly. So give you those answers on your next turn. All right, so Ivan opens up with a Chernobog line, standard, right? Knowing that you're safe that Chernobog next turn to potentially quest for free without popping it, depending on what Matt plays. And if he does play a Cindy, then you know, okay, yep, I'm gonna quest and pop him to draw my card right away. But it doesn't look like Matt got a Cindy.
I think the only thing I would feel safe
Oh, no, there it is.
questing and not popping that Chernobog would be a Rhino, because your opponent's not going to want the damage on the Rhino, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if they played a Daisy, can you still run the Daisy into the Chernobog's followers, and now you're building your board advantage from there. Another Queen of Hearts, a fantastic card.
And we saw the work that it did, honestly, in game 1.
Yep.
So see here again in game 3, probably Matt knows what's to come. And I'm pretty sure Matt did see a Teeth and Ambition game 1, right? We saw it get played, so he knows it's in there.
No, I think it
did
was
it?
just the Hades.
Oh,
it was
yeah,
the
that's
Hades
Hades, yeah.
mechanic. And Teeth is just such a strong card. I mean, I believe it's 2-drop inkable, you know, song that, you know, you can just target a creature and remove it, even if it's sacrificing your own creature in the process. Sometimes that's to your benefit.
And Teeth and Ambition, I had to confirm. I was like, what set did that come out? Set 2. So we're not seeing that for much longer.
Probably
Again,
not.
songs.
Yep.
That is kind of, I think, the lesson learned from the first year of Lorcana was that they maybe printed too many overpowered songs. Which in this game, the fact that you can sing songs and save your resources, your ink for other cards, is what makes it so good. Matt's really trying to think this through right now because he knows Brawl is a potential option this next turn, so something isn't going to stick. He can't really damage that queen or else she's going to be a lot bigger. So Matt's really taking his time here. Inks the strength even. Piglet. Now, I think the Piglet is a bait.
Yeah, it can. It can be. It's something that if your opponent plays one, you have to figure out what you're going to do with it. It changes your thought process. You know, you have to take that as legitimate 3 lore, you know, threat next turn. Whether it's you get rid of the Cindy somehow, you know, or get rid of the Piglet.
Oh, but
We're going to see the
Sisu
Sisu
instead,
come out.
and there's the Teeth of Ambition. And so the choice now of where he's going to put it, and I see he doesn't, Ivan's a smart player. I think it's right there. You don't take the bait because you want that Singer 3 out on the board.
Yep.
Now, Piglet, unless you've got other cards to drop, he's only questing for 1, and you're not going to turn him sideways for that.
Now with the new set, now you can potentially you're looking at Lady and then a free play to get you back up to those 3 characters. And it really kind of changes the dynamic to what we used to have prior to, you know, Reign of Jafar.
Yeah, I think I do see that Lady there in his hand, but does he have another low
1
drop?
or 2 drop, right. I see the Daisy. The Daisy's on top there.
Okay, yep.
Looks like a dock in the middle.
Yep, and so there it is, exactly what you just said. But chooses to pass instead. Interesting. How do you feel about that decision?
It might be a misstep. Like I said, it could certainly still pay off. You want to get, if you can get that 3 lore out of that Piglet, you got to get it every chance you get. You know, especially now you've seen Teeth and Ambitions. You know he can move damage. You know, that Piglet probably isn't long for this world. I'm assuming Matt has a bodyguard ready to go on turn 4, and that's what he's waiting for. The genie certainly gives him some hope. But then there's another Teeth, however.
Yep, makes sense. So many options, and there it is. So, yeah, I think it was a misplay for Matt not
To quest.
to quest. Now, that being said, the trade-off was 3 lore there versus then losing likely 2 characters, right? Because he could challenge and do the Teeth Ambition unless it was with that double singing, or no, it was first sing the Friends with the Sisu, and perhaps that's where he found the Teeth and Ambition. Right. So you wouldn't have been able to challenge 2, but... All right, we get a Daisy trigger, though, and that's a crab into hand. So 2 lore for Matt. And I think Matt is on the back foot now, though.
Yep. I mean, in Matt's position, I think you just have to just push the pedal to the metal and quest the lady. You're going to lose them. You're going to lose them regardless. Looks like she's going to sing a storm.
Take out the queen.
Finish off. Yep.
Matt does have a lot of cards in his hand, so that emboldened warrior can deal a lot of damage.
Yep. I want to say he has 2 docks in his hand. There at the back. Not that you're going to be discarding your hand at this point, but you do have those reload options, you know, coming up in future turns. There's the bodyguard.
Yep. And did he quest with that? No, Lady Sang.
Lady Sang, yeah. So it was bad luck on Matt's part that Ivan was able to find the second teeth in Ambitions. Otherwise, he would have been questing for 7 there with the Daisy Lady and the Piglet with a bodyguard out there.
And little does Matt know, but Ivan is only running 3 teeth in Ambitions. There's 1 left in the deck. But you don't know. And
Yep.
it's so new in Reign of Jafar that we don't really have like a sense of like, oh yeah, every deck is running blank number.
Right.
Which is Ivan spending some time thinking about his next move here. This is what, week 4 now of Reign, or week 3? Depending on when you count release, right?
Yes, yeah. It's either, it depends on if you're going off of game, store release, or mass retail.
But in any case, we're still early into the meta. And as we saw last set, well, there was a ban, or 2 bans really, that changed the state of the meta afterwards. It was almost like a complete reset of set 7. But the meta still changes over time. So I'd be curious to see how the decks develop in this kind of handshake game that we play with everyone. And there it is. There's the trade. But that is a 2-for-1. So what can, all right, and then, yep, dropping the Peter Pan down to be able to challenge in.
So my thought on how that played out is, would you have, yes, run the Sisu into the Pluto to get damage, play the Peter to take 1 damage back in the rush to finish off Pluto, possibly quest for 2, or then use, the Genie. If you really want to take out all those characters, you're running evasives. They don't have a lot of evasives in Steel Song.
0, in fact.
And now those 2 docks almost become a liability in Matt's hand. He doesn't want to play them because he wants to save them, but it's also tying up resources that makes it really difficult.
Do you think the 1-drop Mulan has a place in this list? So when you're in this spot of having 2 docks in hand, you can, exchange one out?
I've started to come around on the whole draw and discard a card mechanic. I was very anti that. I think in certain instances it can be very beneficial. A 1-drop Mulan that does that, I think, is one of those exceptions where, yes, you can, whether it's early on turn 1 to try to dig for something else. If you're a deck that's running Namari, now you're building up your discard to strengthen that Namari down the road. I see the Calhoun and the dock play there for 4.
And Matt's thinking here, is he questing with that Daisy? And there it is. He'll quest, so Matt goes to 4 and finds the bell. Oh no, Matt is not feeling good after seeing that bell, which I get it.
Well, how much damage is on the genie? Is it
I
2
think
or
Genie
3?
is 3 now, because he would have challenged that Pluto, right, with 1 strength, and I think he had the Teeth and Ambition before, so...
Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
There's
right.
that to
Take out
remove
the
the
Calhoun.
Calhoun. You know, the dock's not really a threat to Ivan right now. It's going to quest for 1. It's not really bringing... You already got its usefulness out of the way.
Yeah, so Ivan's going to use the Peter Pan to sing Friends on the Other Side. And this is what we were talking about before, too, right? Is just in Amethyst Ruby, the amount of draw power that Amethyst gets you. Matt's got, what, 2 cards in his hand right now?
Yep.
And Ivan just added 2 more for basically free, you know, putting that evasive character sideways that Matt's not going to have a lot of answers to. And he still hasn't even quested with the Chernobog there.
Nope. You know, and Matt doesn't have a singer to sing, you know, the damage spells.
Yeah, so Ivan quests for 3, go to 4, pops the Chernobog, draws a card off of it even, passes the turn back to Matt. And Matt is just, what do you get? Storm? Lawrence? Lawrence, yeah. Quest for 1. Interesting. Okay, so Matt goes up to, what's that, 5 now?
Is that a Smee and a Rhino?
Yep, Smee and Rhino, which not a bad 2 cards
Yes,
to play right now.
exactly.
Got a 3/3 body. You know, it's can't be taken out by Brawl. Resist 2. However, you can move damage counters to get around that, right?
Yep.
And that Genie is still sitting with 1 damage on.
I believe so, yeah. Because the small bell can move 2, and then the shift can move 3, I believe. No, he had to have moved 3 because he took out the Calhoun.
Oh yeah. So did he challenge something then to take out?
I think it finished off the Daisy.
Oh, he killed yeah, there it is. Marquise, I'm glad you're paying attention to this. Oh. What?
Wait, is there an iPhone filming out there? Is that why?
An iPhone filming?
Like, what camera is being used out there?
It's just like a webcam of some type. What do we miss though over here? What did Ivan do?
The dock's gone, which is not a surprise. Looks like he played another bell or shifted. To the bell on the end that's not exerted.
Okay, so Matt's gonna quest for 4,
That's for
but I'm not sure if Ivan has more lore than what we've got marked down. All right, again, next tournament, I'm gonna make sure that both of the players are mic'd up individually so that I can hear everything that they're saying.
Yep, so the bell attacked,
Oh,
shifts
God.
there, moves that damage.
And then comes out with the library.
Yep.
and questing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yikes.
No, 2, 4, 6, 7 lore from that.
The one drop Cindy's not necessarily going to help him.
Yeah,
there's
and
the
there goes.
concede.
Matt concedes in game 3 because, yeah, it was not looking good. I think I haven't had enough lore on the board. And just like we thought, Chubb,
Yep.
so...
You know, and in this game, I really go back to not questing the piglet. That's 3. He would have been at 12. So that was a tough break for Matt. In addition, then Ivan then pulls his second, Teeth and Ambitions. That was really probably the turning point, even though it didn't seem like it at the time. That would have made a huge difference in the game had, you know, he quested with the piglet, had it not gotten removed, at least to get that lore in there.